Alright, I could do a ton of research for this video, or I could just simply shut up and then start actually discussing things here on the channel this afternoon, this evening, whenever you're tuning in, my friends. Anthony Duclair to the Edmonton Oilers, a Florida Panthers player who's currently on the shelf with a torn Achilles. Uh, right? Okay, so what's the real story here? What's going on? As far as I gather, there's something of substance here potentially because it has been mentioned now by Frank Saravelli of Daily Faceoff. Friends, this is Dolany TV. Good afternoon. Welcome back to the channel as we get set to discuss this one here today. If you're new though, first off is the housekeeping notes, my friends. I want you to consider at some point in this video hitting that subscribe button if you're new to Dolany TV and want to stick around for more Edmonton Oilers news, trades, rumors. We're getting into the best part of the season here where we got to decide who we're going to pick up at the trade deadline and of course what we're going to do with guys like Jesse Puljujarvi, Kyler Yamamoto, Derek Ryan, and Warren Foegele. Although Derek Ryan doing his best to stick around Edmonton, let me tell you, another goal up to 7 on the season, and the man is starting to put points on the board when it matters for this Oilers team. And suddenly, day by day, it seems he's getting a little bit better, which ain't a bad thing. Out of your depth scoring in the bottom six, if you're an Oilers fan. All right, friends, though. Anthony Duclair for Jesse Puljujarvi is what I've read was rumored by Frank Saravelli, and I don't think it's a heavily serious rumor because, quite simply put, for Duclair, he at last best update is how I'm going to put this. This was sometime earlier this month. The last best update you have on Anthony Duclair at the current moment is he is week to week with an Achilles injury. Of course, suffered sometime last year or something. So he's starting his comeback training. He's been at practice with the Florida Panthers. He's almost ready to get things going again here. 5'11", 197 pounds, shoots left, and is a left winger. That's what we know about Anthony Duclair, all right? We'll break all the stats and the stuff you need to know in a moment, and then we'll get into what the fit is here. I think, too, again, there's a couple of fins there on Florida, so yes, Puljujarvi potentially being linked there kind of makes sense all around just because of the finished content down there in Florida. And secondary to Anthony Duclair, I don't know what's happening necessarily between him and Florida. I'm not going to care to speculate. I guess there might be some reason for a fresh start, as something mentioned in an Oil on White article, and that's as far as I went into researching this, quite honestly. The fan-sided website Oil on White had some kind of article up on it, and I just kind of read up and got the Cole's notes of what I think I'm supposed to know for this. This is not, hey, big shiny rumor. This is me simply talking about a scenario because you know what? We haven't had a big trade rumor here on the channel with a new name in a couple of days. And you know what? To have a new name circled around for the Oilers at this point of the season that isn't Gavrikov, Chychrun, Klingberg, Edmondson, Ekholm. Who else do we got on the board? Lafferty, right? It's a new name, somebody new to talk about, and that's kind of I'm taking the moment to have a breath of fresh air, I guess is my point here. And for Anthony Duclair, realistically speaking, right, he's a guy who is into like seriously about his 10th no, yeah, 11th NHL season this year when he laces them up. So a veteran guy of the NHL at this point. He'll turn 28 this off season. So a guy who's been around doing the NHL for pretty much since he was drafted, I think. Yeah, pretty much since he was drafted at this point. So we'll see what Anthony Duclair can get going here for the, I guess, sorry, 11 seasons with different teams, not necessarily 11 years. There's three, uh, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, it was about 9, 8 or 9 in there. I don't really care. Right now, what Anthony Duclair has done in his career is not as important as talking about how this scenario happens, why this scenario happens, and everything related to that. Is I think, again, even if this is necessarily not 100% serious, this isn't one of those things. It's just looking at kind of what I looked at in that Jesse Puljujarvi trade video the other day here on Dolany TV is Anthony Duclair is in a $3 million deal. with a year left, and obviously Florida is where they are. I don't even think it's necessarily Florida and Duclair are on bad terms. I think it's just Florida is where they are at this season. They're not sure what they're doing, and I'm not sure if they're going to figure it out before the season's end. So why not try and get some assets? Obviously, when I say Duclair for Jesse Puljujarvi, it's not necessarily straight across, because I don't think you're going to acquire a guy who has 58 points in 74 games last year and then a torn Achilles and is on his comeback for straight up Jesse Puljujarvi. I don't think you're doing it, no matter what you want to say about the Florida Panthers. But as it sits right here, my friends, for the Edmonton Oilers and how it all shakes out is Anthony Duclair is on a $3 million deal. So it's cash in, cash out. If you have to give up some kind of pick to make an Anthony Duclair deal work, that's why we're talking about this, okay? That's why I put any value into this for the Oilers is look at this. You found a guy who's on the comeback train, potentially a guy who might not want to go back into that Florida situation. Florida might not want to try and bring him back into a situation where, hey, you know what, Florida's not going to make an impact. And just to give you an idea of where Florida's sitting right now and why we're talking about, well, Florida doesn't know what they're doing. Give me an idea. Give me a second here. I'll get you the NHL standings and I'll kind of tell you what's happening with Florida this season for those of us Oilers fans who aren't too familiar, because you got to remember, we've beat Florida both times this year, and Florida is right there kind of in the thick of the playoff hunt, but also really not in the thick of the playoff hunt. They have 27 total losses to 23 total wins this year. Washington's in the final playoff spot with Pittsburgh. Buffalo's ahead of them, right? If I'm saying Buffalo's ahead of you, that no matter how good Buffalo is in a year, over the past 10, 15 years, that's a sign you're not doing so hot, especially when Florida was as good as they were last year. So that's kind of where we're going with this one, friends, is when it comes down to it for the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers, is it's a deal that there's something there that you could work with, right? It's a baseline. Hey, what about this idea? And that's where realistically all I care about is in this whole thing, right? People laughed at me about the Necas deal, their idea between Puljujarvi and Necas. That was a long-standing rumor for a long time. Things have obviously changed now between the Hurricanes and Oilers relationship in making that deal because of what Necas has done over the past little bit. But for a while there was some kind of appetite there. And now all of a sudden, right, for the Oilers, you look around the market. Gavrikov's a huge name. You thought about Ekholm for a while. Edmondson was in the mix. Obviously, Carson Soucy was there for a while. Klingberg, Chychrun. Just add this to the pile of names that we're going to talk about before the trade deadline and more than likely not acquire by the end of deadline, March 3rd. That's kind of the problem here. But again, I think just for a breath of fresh air, this one was worth talking about, because at the end of the day is, I think the one lesson I've learned, and I think a lot of folks take it to heart that I talk too much about rumors, because when I didn't talk about rumors in 2019-20, there were a lot of rumors all season long about the Oilers acquiring Mike Green and Andres Athanasiou. Guess who the Oilers acquired? And I continued to shut those videos down because I didn't see the value in them, didn't see the value in acquiring those players. So lessons learned over the course of the past 5 years. Hey, you know what? You see a new name crop up, even if it is just not 100% serious, you never know. Where there's smoke, there could always be fire. So you just don't know where to say. Anyway, friends, I'm Tyson. This is Stallini TV. I am up on out of here.